Good morning and welcome to the latest episode of What the Hell is James Whittling on about now. I'm here to tell you a little bit of good news. As you can see, the Wellington Pub has got some bunting they put out 5 years ago. But before then, I want to tell you a little bit of sad news, and that is that my elderly neighbour, 84 years young, passed away recently. And it was sad because, well, we all don't like to see people die, and especially for some reason those older relatives and older close friends who pass away, you feel like you've lost so much that you've probably not even heard the memories from the past or what they did in their lives back in a bygone era. And it reminded me of times when he told me about growing up around here, when he was evacuated to Clanfield and when he lived around Waterlooville, and little nuggets of information would creep in that he didn't even think were that valuable that he used to tell me about. And one of those was when he remembers walking across from the Heroes Pub in Waterlooville, where the NatWest Bank now lovingly sits, and across the fields to the church and the Wellington Pub. And I said, the fields? He said, yeah, all where the Subway cafe is on the corner there used to be fields. And I thought, wow, that's weird. Could you imagine that? Having fields in the middle of Waterlooville, much like I guess they have in Denmead now. And he said, yeah, they're all fields where the Subway pub is, then it was the church, then it was the Wellington Pub, and fields behind it, and then fields until you get to the row of sort of council houses opposite the petrol station. So all fields around there, all fields in Waterlooville. And I thought, wow, that's really weird. And there are still some old people around Waterlooville today that I know talk about going into the village, and they mean Waterlooville. And I said to my boys, who are 10 and 13, I said, when you are in your 40s like me, I know, shut it, when you're in your 40s, about 30 years, I said, you will come to Denmead and there won't be fields, and there will be probably a retail park and a McDonald's and a multi-storey car park and lots of tall buildings. And they were really sad about that, and people think, no, that's not going to be the case, but of course it will be. It will be, because 55, 60 years ago, Waterlooville was massively smaller than Denmead. It had just 2,000 people living here, roughly the size of, say, somewhere like smaller than Clanfield, smaller than Catherington, smaller than Denmead, probably not much bigger than Finchdean. Tiny, tiny little village. And now, in a short space of time, it's got nearly 150,000 people living in Waterlooville and the surrounding areas. It's incredible growth, and it's sad. It's sad to see such a lovely little idyllic place from the 1950s grow to be so enormous and so soulless. So this is why really I feel that losing some of the history of the town is a shame, because it loses its identity. It loses the reason why it's here in the first place. I think sometimes when you lose an elderly relative or someone that's known to you and that's loved by your family, you do feel that you've lost that connection to the past, and you've lost that connection to why your family is even existing, and you don't even consciously realise it sometimes. And I think in the same way, if you're losing these old buildings for a town and a village, you do lose the connection of why the town's even here in the first place. Somebody said to me, why are you so bothered about the Wellington Pub now? And I said, well, I've had such success with Swiss Cottage and Waylane End Farmhouse that, you know, I felt I need to do my bit. Anyway, someone said it's just a bit of Victoriana, it's just Victorian era building, so what, it's not even that nice. I thought, well, it's Victoriana because that's what Waterlooville is. That's when it was formed in the 1800s, and this is really the last piece of history that Waterlooville has to show for itself in the middle of the town. I think it is a lovely building. I think it could serve a lovely purpose, but when I look at it, I don't look at it as a building as such. I think of it as individual bricks that have been put in place by someone lovingly from the village, or probably more likely from the hamlet as it was in the 1830s, 1840s, probably even by somebody who fought in the Battle of Waterloo, and individually putting these bricks into place one by one. You know, a group of guys, probably someone in their 50s, 60s, probably people even born in the 1700s who helped build this for the community to make it an enjoyable place to go for families, for workers in the local area. I don't want to lose the history of any town, really, because I feel like it helps people identify with where they're from. And we've all seen what happens if you do a particular thing, it gets passed down to children. If you leave out your tray at McDonald's of rubbish, then your kids in future visits to the yummy McDonald's will then leave out their tray. You know, if you leave out your dirty mug on the side, they'll think, well, that's okay to leave their dirty mug out on the side, and you'll wonder why they've got all these bad habits. Well, we've got to show them how we feel. So if we show them that we care about the older buildings, then maybe they'll start to care. We won't need to start boarding things up, because the minute you show them that you don't care about a building, they'll start smashing it to bits and burning it down. Now, I've raved on about this enough, I know, and it's not that funny. It's quite a serious topic, but I do think that when you look at places like Winchester and Chichester, even Emsworth, they show their community that they care about the older buildings, and then you don't end up with all the graffiti, you don't end up with places getting smashed up, and you end up with maybe a slightly more welcoming town. I know it's probably too far gone, Waterlooville, but if we made this into maybe a community building or an arts building, or even something like Spring Arts that they did in Havant, where it's a museum, entertainment venue, coffee shop, all combined, where the communities come together, I think it'd be a lovely opportunity to really have a central hub in the town that we can all use. I know we didn't use it when it was a pub, but that's because nobody really goes to pubs anymore, do they? We all have a drink at home and get sloshed in our lounge, and then we could just be sick in our own toilets. But it's just a building that we can hopefully show to future generations. This was one of the first that was here. This is why we're here as a town. You know, it's a lovely community, central part of the shopping area, and we want to keep it. Now, the good news is, if you've stayed around for 6 minutes and 49 seconds, is that it's got temporary listed status now. In between the drunk Christmas parties and the lull of the summer months, the council have obviously sobered up and decided that temporary listed status is worthy of the Wellington Pub, and now it's gone off to the government, the middle of London, to decide what they're going to do in between bickering over petty, stupid Brexit negotiations, and decide whether this building deserves to be permanently listed. Now, I'm sure the developers and the owners of this building are overjoyed. They've probably not even heard about it. The phone call's not got through to Marbella yet. But we, I'm sure, can do our little bit by just supporting the cause, just by putting how we feel about this building to the local planning, and even to central government. Who knows what they're going to decide, and let's be honest, they're probably all off on holiday with Theresa May, stroking each other and massaging others' egos. But it's good news. Temporary listed status is better than nothing, and let's hope that we do have a lovely building to look back on in future years for our children and our children's children, as the wonderful Michael Jackson once said, God rest his soul. Anyway, if you're interested, you can find me doing funnier stuff than this, just funny stuff. This wasn't funny at all, was it? On the 22nd of September at Spinnaker Tower Comedy Club, and the 29th of September I'm back at Horndean's Comedy All-Stars, if you can get a ticket. Or you can follow me on Twitter, Comedy James. I have to put that word at the beginning because sometimes people wonder what it is I do. Anyway, I'll see you around. I'm going to enjoy this lovely summer weather with my hood up. Right, enjoy your summer months with the kids, and I will see you the other side of it.